All right. Good evening, everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Again, trying out some new streaming software and some new microphones and new everything. Just new everything. So I appreciate your patience. What I wanted to do before the evening got away from us, since the football game is pretty much over. So if you're a Kansas City Chief fan, you're happy. If you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, you're happy. But now with the game being over, I think I can hop on here and have a few more people paying attention. Okay, so as we've talked about earlier today, we were anticipating two potential severe weather episodes. One was this afternoon, which thankfully didn't really turn out to be a whole lot. And then, of course, the other one, kind of the bigger one, was going to be overnight. So that is what we're looking for now. And if you will pardon me just a second, I am going to try something here. I'm probably dangerous doing this on the fly. Um, okay, so I got this new chat feature, so I hope if someone types comments, I can see them. But if I don't, I apologize. Okay, so with that being said, let's just see if I can zoom in on this radar a little bit more. So what you're starting to see, there we go. Let's do this. Let's go this way. So you're starting to see these individual thunderstorm cells formed just south of Post, just west of that. And then if we move over here, this is, where's Lubbock? There you go. There's Lubbock right there. Whoops. There we go. So you're starting to see these purple cores. And of course, as we all know what that means hail. But, hopefully we won't see a whole lot of that, but we'll see. All right, so let me zoom this out here. No, that won't work. Let's do this. See, live broadcasting is fun. Okay. Okay, so we're going to put this in motion. So kind of give you an idea. Really the motion is more northeast than east, but over time I think that will change. And that's going to impact our weather. We'll get a little bit further out here. So you can see Dallas-Fort Worth is way, well, goodness gracious. Let's try this. Yeah, Dallas-Fort Worth is way over here. So we got plenty of time. And I'll go ahead and tell you that from a timing standpoint, this is not going to be here until well after midnight. You're probably talking, 3 in the morning, something like that, if maybe even later than that. Now, that's not to say that there couldn't be anything that forms out ahead of that, and that's what we're going to talk about here in just a second. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to, let me try this here. Okay, well, Misty, you are the first one I can see on the chat, so congratulations. I don't know what you get for that, but so at least it works. I know it works, right? So that's awesome. Okay, and good evening to you, Misty. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's just do this. Like I said, it's doing this on the fly here. Let's go to the satellite picture if I can. Well, let's go to my house first. How about that? Okay, so the temperature right now is about 58 degrees. The dew point's 55. So what does that tell you? So that tells you there's a lot of juice in the air. And that's a big shock, right? You knew that. The morning started out foggy. So there's a lot of juice in the atmosphere, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, I guess you could say juice, that will help fuel these thunderstorms. So that won't help anything from a severe weather standpoint, but it won't necessarily be horrible news. I'll talk about that. So today you can probably barely see that, but at my house we've gotten 3,500 of an inch. So, a pretty soggy day. It's pretty, really for the most part, kind of, dreary January day. Not as cold as it could be, that's for sure. So the temperatures are not going to help us as far as the potential for severe weather, I'll put it that way. Okay, so let's go to the satellite picture, and I'm going to try to move this chat where I can see it better. I'm going to try that, see if that works. Okay, so just a quick update. Misty, I see you. What does this mean for the middle of the night? Well, it kind of means what you think. Although I don't think it'd be horrible, but I think we all might get woken up. Hey, Sarah Beth. Hey, Shannon. How are you? Tracy, hi. Okay, so let me put this in motion here for you. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get my little fancy drawing tools on here. Okay, here we go. All right, so what you're seeing is pretty evident right here, but you're seeing these thunderstorms develop out in West Texas. And, of course, this is nighttime vision, but you can see these brighter clouds that are popping up. So those are the thunderstorms, and if you look really close, you can see these starting right here. So those are the ones that are popping on the radar. And so I think that that's something that, we're going to have to watch out for. Now, the other thing I would say is, from a timing standpoint, I think what you'll see is you'll see these, the storms that are kind of right here now. I think, they're going to make their way over here probably like 3, that is a horrible 3 to 4 a.m., something like that. I can't really draw with this thing, so we'll do this. However, I would say this is that in this area right here is where we need to watch. Probably, it's 9:15 now. Probably if we see some thunderstorms kind of pop in that area, probably within the next hour or two, that's excuse me, that would concern me a little bit, because I think that would hit us way before the 3 a.m. But hasn't happened yet, but that's what I'm going to be watching for. Okay, so let's get the latest for severe weather probabilities, and then we'll do that for the Storm Prediction Center. So as you probably remember from this afternoon, this this slight risk area, the yellow, hasn't really changed a whole lot, other than it is kind of gone to the south a little bit. Not by a lot, but just a little bit. And they really just tweaked it. They didn't really do a whole lot. So slight risk. That's through 6 a.m. Now, again, we look at a tornado threat. Misty, of course, you're down south of us, so you're not in a tornado threat. So good for you, Misty. But 2%, and I don't think anybody's going to have a big chance to see a tornado, but good. The wind potential, now remember, that's the wind that's 60 miles an hour or greater. You have a 15% chance of seeing that within the yellow. Of course, Dallas-Fort Worth right there. And then the hail, same thing, 15%. Now, what I would say is, as you remember this afternoon, we were kind of worried about the hail with the afternoon storms and maybe more of the wind overnight. And I think that's still the case. But if these thunderstorms form a little bit out ahead of the line, which is no guarantee, those would be more concerning from a hail standpoint. So that's what we got to watch. Now, I did want to show you. So the other thing, the other main player in this whole severe weather setup, if you will, is the cap. I talk about the cap all the time. And so, how's that going to play in with it today or tonight? So I will say there will be a cap, and it will be fairly strong. So we're in the clear, right? Well, not exactly. So what this storm system is going to do is it's going to say, okay, it's going to act to erode the cap as this colder air aloft gets closer from West Texas. But a lot of the storms will ride up over the cap, and that does happen. So I did want to show you this model. So this is a graphic illustration of the cap. So this is current, and and I hate this little pop-up box, but, just for currently, Dallas-Fort Worth right there. Now, don't be alarmed. We don't have a cap right now, but we will. So that's kind of the current, and obviously the darker the color, the purple, the stronger the cap is. So that's actually good news, because, there won't be any storms that are what we call rooted in the surface, and that's where they pick up all this moisture and, tornadoes and all those things happen. So I'm going to see if I can advance this without being too crazy here. And I apologize because you're not going to be able to see it for a second. So, all right, let's advance it 3 hours. Let's go back down here. Okay, now you can get an idea. So this cap is moving north. So, like I said, all I'm trying to say is that any storms we have will probably, ride over the cap. But that doesn't mean we won't see severe weather. It's just it probably won't see tornadoes. Like I said, I think the bigger threat is hail and what have you. So that's just part of it. Now, the good news is this is January, not April. And so and plus it's coming in the middle of the night. So I think that helps too. So let's go back to the radar. I'm looking at my chat here. Let's see. David, boy, yeah, I love your comments. Yeah. No, I think you're right, David. It's not a bad setup by any means. And quite frankly, I think the chances of anybody seeing severe weather at any one particular spot tonight is actually pretty small. The only problem with when you say something like that is that if you happen to be under the one that is underneath you're the lucky one, then the chances seem pretty good, right? So that's why I like to come on and kind of brief everybody about what the potential is. But yeah, it's not a big severe weather setup. But I do think it has potential for some wind, that's for sure, especially if it's linear or complex. All right, so let's go back to the radar if I can get there. There we go. Let me swing over. Okay, there we go. All right. So we'll put that in motion. And like you said, right now it's all out in West Texas. Wendy Williams, if you're listening, your daughter's having some fun out at tech, but she'll be okay. And then you can also see that there's no severe weather warnings yet. Now I think there will be eventually. But let's do this. Let's go to a little closer radar. Let's go to Abilene and see what we got going on. So this is interesting because, and we'll stop this. So you are seeing some more development closer to Abilene, and I'll put it back in motion. And so, that's way away from us. Again, you're talking, hours after midnight before that hits, unless something forms in between. But still, it's starting to pop out there, as they say. So let's go to Wichita Falls radar and see what they got going on here. Yeah, you're starting to see this development up in Oklahoma. There's not a cap up there, but there's not near as much instability, so that they'll probably be fine. I mean, it's just won't be as bad up there, but that doesn't mean they won't get some storms. And now, finally, let's go back to the Fort Worth radar and see what we got. So, as you probably have heard, if around here there's been some storms. No, I shouldn't say storms. Just some showers pop up, so it might be raining at your house. I think it's raining at my house right now. And so that, again, not a whole lot going on between now and, well, after midnight. But again, we're still kind of early in this process as far as, getting these storms really cranked up. And it's that classic, hey, we don't really have a great idea about timing until the storms kind of really congeal and kind of get going. But you do see out in West Texas that that's starting to happen. So again, that's why I think if nothing crazy happens as far as these storms don't pop up between here and there, I think that's why you'll see these storms eventually way out here in Lubbock. I think you'll see these storms eventually head our way. And again, you can see. Let me see if I can get my drawer right. See these storms right here. Now again, this is something that we would want to watch for if it was closer to Dallas-Fort Worth, because those individual storms, and you hear me talk about this all the time, these individual storms are the ones you have to watch out for, because they're the one that had the big hail in it. And tornadoes, but again, I don't think it's a big tornado threat setup. Okay, so let's make sure I'm not... Okay, so let me look at my comments here real quick. This is a pretty cool little chat feature, because I think I can see everybody's at once. I don't have to cheat on my iPad. Okay, so Misty, yes, it's not a tornado situation, that's for sure. But it could be a high wind situation. There's no doubt about that. Brenda, will it clear up by 7 a.m.? Yeah, I think it will. And believe it or not, you'll see the sun tomorrow. It'll actually be a nice day. And then Rhonda, oh, you're welcome. Got my car in the garage. That's a smart move. Cindy, thank you. I appreciate your comment. So here's a bottom line, and those comments make me think about saying this. So, when I do it, when I type out everything, I like to give you the bottom line, right? So here's what I'll do tonight as far as the verbal bottom line. So don't be shocked if you see some rain and even a couple of rumbles of thunder between now and 3 a.m. Just don't be shocked about that. If there are no storms that form, and I'll do my little graphics here, this is the area that we have to watch. So between now and overnight. So if we don't, and matter of fact, to be fair, I'm going to put our radar back on here so we're a little closer, because that's a little misleading not to put ours on there. Okay, there you go. All right. So let me do this. Okay. So okay, here we go. Now let's try. Okay. So that's kind of the area you watch. So before you go to bed, in which it's not too far for me, to be quite honest, I usually could stay up late. Kind of watch that area for storms, because if there are storms that form in that area, then that would be well ahead of the line, and that might impact us, before 3 a.m. But if you don't really see a whole lot of development before you go to bed, of course, you can go to bed and then get pop up right after you go to bed. Then we should be okay. But the overall bottom line is that, like I said, I think we'll see storms, and let me say it generically. I think we'll see storms overnight. I think the vast majority of people will not see severe weather as it's defined. And of course, severe weather is 58 mile an hour wind gust or higher. quarter inch well, not quarter. That's pretty small hail. Inch hail or bigger. And of course tornadoes. I just don't think you'll see a lot of that. And I think we have a couple of factors helping us. One is the capping inversion. Now, like I said, I think those thunderstorms are going to ride over it. But again, that tends to help us because we don't see the worst of the worst. And then I think just the time of day, or in this case, the time of night, because it's just in the middle of the night. Now, that doesn't mean bad stuff can't happen in the middle of the night. It's just that, I think that helps us as far as it not being a terrible situation as far as severe weather. Like I said, it's not April, but thank goodness. Okay, with that, I've rambled on long enough. If for some reason, and I'll look at your comments after I hop off, if you have any questions or anything. But like I said, I don't think it's anything to be very concerned about, really, in the big scheme of things. I'm not concerned about it. I'm always concerned about the potential because I don't like people to be caught by surprise, namely me. So I think that's something that I just wanted to come on and just kind of give you the overnight version, and the rest of the week will be pretty nice. It won't be near as gloomy as this week was, so that's good. And then we'll have another system come in sadly, toward next weekend, but that's a week away. Okay, I'm just looking here. I don't think I missed any comments. All right. So with that, as you know, I'm watching the weather, so you don't have to. Have a great evening, everyone. Put some stuff up if it's loose, just in case. And if you got a garage where you can put your car in it, probably wouldn't hurt. But I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. But it doesn't hurt if you do. I really appreciate everyone watching, and we will talk.